All right, I think we're recording. This is episode 4. We kind of have a new setup here, so if anything goes awry, that's what happened. Although for episode 3, we had fire alarms going off. We had inspectors in here. It was crazy, but I think in the edit, we saved it. So hopefully this goes better than that. How are you?
I'm good. Good. You did a great job. Today, here's what's coming. We're going to get into social media, and we're going to give away tips that are worth millions to our listeners.
Okay, I like it. I don't like that I have to switch this, but we're just going to go through it. Whatever. This is a technical thing no one needs to know about. All right, ready? And go.
Welcome to the Automotive Advantage. Grow your business and get smarter in just 1 hour.
All right, here we go. Are you ready for podcast number 4? Automotive Advantage coming at you. We had a good time last week. It was a little bit of a struggle, but we're learning as we put the podcast together. Again, we got a bunch of guests coming in, and folks are going to talk about how much money they've made in the auto industry, what their margin is, where they're spending product money, marketing money. It's going to be a great run here for the next few months. What I like a lot, and this is a great lesson for our listeners, is you and I have always learned by doing, and we're going to be learning a ton of these from these folks as they come in and give us some stories. All right, you ready to hit the news? Ready to get after the news? It's been a pretty eventful week. I think the big headline for us in Detroit is GM's down 35%. They're blaming tariffs. They're blaming EV sales. I would say it's a tough market out there for the auto industry. GM usually leads the way. So GM as an indicator is in trouble. Interpret that for me in Detroit, Justin, and then talk a little bit about if I'm an aftermarket company, why should I care?
Man, it's crazy to think, because Stellantis posted like a 2-point-something billion tariff hit, and then 3 days later or 4 days later, GM came out and posted a $1 billion tariff hit. Like, where does this end up, right? Because normally those are leading indicators of bad news. And if they're writing those off now, first of all, have they just been absorbing these costs, I guess? They haven't passed them on to the consumer yet. So that means in Q3, Q4, it's time to start passing it along, I would imagine. So that seems terrible, because you're going to have to take $1 billion out of regular consumers' pockets now. $3 billion if you combine both of them together. So that doesn't sound like good news to me at all. And it seems like they didn't really see this coming, or they at least didn't forecast for it. But we also know that the OEs sometimes do some interesting mathematics to try to game the system. So I don't know enough about the economics of the OEs, but it does seem terrifying. 2 of the biggest ones report in what's essentially $3 billion in loss just from tariffs alone. Doesn't sound great.
Yeah, if you're a financial expert or you're reading these P&Ls and you see some financial things that we haven't picked up on, where the money's being shuffled and how the story's playing out, please let us know. A quick correction, you were right, those EV credits are up September 30th. I had said January, but September 30th, which reminds me, Justin, did you go out EV car shopping since we talked about this last week?
I have not been EV car shopping, but I do still have a slate on order, which is now, it was a $20,000 fun little truck. Now it is a effectively $27,500, so $30,000 truck. That's 33% markup effectively for slate. So I feel bad for them. I mean, that's a bummer. I think everyone who factored that in. But when you're talking about $70,000, $80,000, $100,000 truck, another $7,500 isn't so bad. But in that low space there, like Rivian's supposed to be coming out with their R3, which is cheaper, the Slate, which is cheaper. That's kind of a bummer for those guys. And for me too. Like at 20 grand, it's kind of like, oh yeah, Slate, well, that would be fun. Run around Pontiac in it. That'd be great. At 30 grand, it's like, all right, well, what else is there in the space? I'm going to stick with Slate on this one, I think. But yeah, that is concerning. And September 30th is coming up fast. So if you're in the market, you better get down to the local dealer now.
Yeah. Good luck. All right, Justin, in the news, we did have somebody send in a note. They're interested if you've ever been caught on a kiss cam, maybe at a Coldplay concert or anything like that. How do we take advantage of those types of social media blow-ups? And maybe this is a little foreshadowing for what we're going to talk about later in this podcast, but wow, that thing caught fire.
So one of my dreams is to be on a Jumbotron, and I would like to do the Nathan Fielder, just stare directly at the camera thing. So every time my wife and I go to a game, we practice for that, but we never get picked to do it. One, if you don't know what the Stryand Effect is, please use your time wisely to go Google that. But effectively, the Stryand Effect is attempting to make something go away, especially in the internet era, just makes it way worse. Cue Epstein file memes here. But like, it's crazy to think if they would have just not done anything, probably the camera would have just moved on. It was the freak out that got him, right? Which is crazy. Always fun to watch someone get caught cheating though. So I think the entire internet has embraced this, but the brand side of it was crazy. Like how many memes there were from every brand instantaneously. It's like every feed I have, every channel, every little niche was doing their own thing, which was pretty fun. So I think it is a great example of like, jump on these trends. There used to be a time, remember, where like big brands were afraid of copyright or getting sued for using a meme or whatever. Clearly that's just not been the case. You know, memes are kind of fair play, I would say, for everybody. So if you're still a brand that's like, I don't know if we can jump on those trends, just do it. Everyone was doing it. It was a fun time. Crazy to see like how quick the life cycle is. It's already almost out of the news, right? I see it a little bit now. Now the lamest, oldest accounts are doing it, but it was fast. I mean, it was 10 minutes before the first meme, probably.
So let's try this. Ozzy Osbourne passed away yesterday. I'm already catching Instagram reels that are using some of Ozzy's music. Do you recommend to your clients, let's do an Ozzy Osbourne inspired reel or put out my product with some Ozzy music? I would, why not?
I mean, the trending audio is so important for Instagram these days that like you really should be capitalizing on all of that. It is one of those things, you watch something with one music that you like, you engage with it for a little longer, the rest of your feed is just that for a while. So yeah, Ozzy, I mean, tribute to the man. It was cool to see kind of footage from his last concert, you know, and people memorializing that. Funny memes, same thing. But if you're not doing that type of stuff and you're a brand and you're wondering like why you're not growing on social, that's one of the reasons for sure.
Good advice. Hey, interesting headline about Hertz using AI monitored or generated cameras to check your rental vehicle out and then check it back in, and it reports any damage that it picks up to the vehicle. Super interesting use of AI. I'm hearing about inaccuracies, but I'm already dismissing that because I'm like, oh, that's going to be cleared up in 30 days. I want to get your take on that and how it definitely is going to hit the auto industry. But then what about a speed shop, right? As you check a vehicle in, you can use AI to go through and make sure you've got a file on what the vehicle has. I was also thinking about another use case for this in collector cars and even putting together the value of a car that's going to go to auction, like a bring a trailer extension where you can film it. AI picks up everything, gives you a detailed report of the value of the car. But AI cameras are coming to the auto industry. They're already here. What do you think?
I don't love the Hertz thing because it does seem like they're just going to catch you for every weird scratch now. And we all know how you're supposed to treat rental cars versus how they think we're supposed to do it. I have driven through one. This was before I knew kind of what it was. And it is a weird little thing. You just go through it and then nothing happens, but you know there's some record somewhere. And then what I don't like, though, with this and with everything else like this is you end up in a situation where if it catches something, there's no one to talk to about it. There's not like an employee there that you can be like, oh no, that scratch was already there or whatever. So this just seems like the same thing that always happens with this technology where it's going to be like, there's not going to be anyone to fight with because you're not going to be able to prove your case, which is a bummer. I have been to Ford dealers where when you drive through the service bay now, there's like a similar looking machine that checks your alignment on the fly. And when I first got the Bronco Raptor, I drove over that thing and I mean, the truck had 8 miles on it and it claimed that my alignment was off and everything was wrong. Red light going off, the service guy came out and he was like, oh yeah, we got to align it. I'm like, dude, this truck has 4 miles on it. And he's like, oh, well, let me check. And finally the manager came out and was like, oh, we haven't loaded the Bronco Raptor file. It thought it was a regular Bronco, blah, blah, blah. So again, it's like, you're trusting this thing to know a lot. Interesting though, like it kind of reminds me of Barrett Jackson. You know how when they drive the cars, they have that little bottom camera now so you can see the underside, kind of that type of vibe. But yeah, I think it's like a scanning tool for like historical verification, that kind of stuff. Could be a neat little business there.
Yeah, I liken this to a speed trap, so I'm not really a fan right out of the gate. And I definitely have maybe been in a car that was destroyed by drivers that were with me. So anyways, that's here, man. Doesn't matter. We'll see how that shapes up. I want to do a quick forecasting for our listeners about Woodward Dream Cruise, August 16th, and then August 9th is Roadkill Nights. You and I might be biased because they're going to happen right here within 100 yards of Driveline Studios world headquarters here in Pontiac, but these are big events. These are Woodward Dream Cruise is the largest single-day automotive event on the face of the planet. Roadkill Nights is the kickoff party. Hot Rod and Motor Trend do a great job with that. I think they're over 10 years now, or this might be the 10th year. Give some advice to folks that are in this area, or even if you wanted to come in, how would you execute at Roadkill Nights? I've done it with Chevrolet, with PRI, with the High Performance Expo, and then, man, Woodward Dream Cruise is a monster. We've been there several times as Chevrolet. Give the folks an idea of the size of this thing, the impact of this thing, and then how do you make money on a Woodward Dream Cruise?
I'm fully hyped for all of August, basically. First of all, there's no way to accurately describe Dream Cruise to anybody. It sounds like you're making it up, and it sounds like you're being some weird fanboy. But like when I try to explain to people, it's like, no, dude, it's 4 lanes in each direction for 14 miles of just pure cat. Every car you've ever imagined, new one, old one, things you've forgotten even existed. It is like the single coolest car event in the world, maybe. I mean, for not like super high end or whatever, but it's just the coolest. People putting their tents out already, getting ready for the whole thing. It is hard to activate at because it's not like a centralized event. A normal event, you go to the promoter, you buy a thing, you promote it. Pretty simple, straightforward. With Woodward, because it's 20 miles long or whatever, you can just kind of be anywhere. It's hard to figure out exactly where to be and how to activate there. But I do think for being such an organic thing, it hasn't had enough commercial interest yet. Like it still seems like a very huge upside to being there. So one, you can just cruise it and you can get a lot of mileage out of just cruising in a company car or something cool, show off whatever you're doing. 2, it's really like a week-long event, right? So like be out there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, just be cruising the whole time. The people there are awesome. I mean, I've been out on Woodward a lot this year, and it's just been so fun. The vibes are high, the car counts are high, there's more new cars than usual, but there's still all the coolest old cars you can imagine out there. So like, I don't know, activating there is hard, but it's also easy because you could just show up and post up somewhere and do it. Chevy has 2 lots. They have one on 13 and they have one in the old triangle. So that area is pretty hot, but then Ford activates down, in Ferndale. So totally different. That's like 9 mile if you're not from around here versus like 13 and 14 miles. So you know how far away they are. And then Pontiac is just the burnout, lawless joy of the world. So that's where I'm going to be most of the time here. But what do you think? Let's start with just Woodward. What would you do at Woodward?
Yeah, and I don't think I dropped the numbers right. Something like 1.2 million people come to the Woodward Dream Cruise. Again, the largest, and then I don't know how many 100,000 cars. If somebody told me there's 500,000 cars on Woodward for those 5 days, I'd be like, yeah, sure, probably more. I think you laid out nicely. It's very tough to activate at. If you think you're going to get in touch with all 1.2 million people, you're not, because we've seen the best with the biggest budgets. And I think the best thing I've seen is to draw people to something you've done for several years, right? Like you mentioned Chevy, we gave away millions of t-shirts to get some data for people, show off a bunch of cool cars, answer tech questions. You're gonna have a very smart crowd that shows up that are actively building cars or buying cars if you're an OEM. After that, you gotta pick your spot, right? So there are overhead shots of Pontiac the Sunday after Woodward Dream Cruise, and you would think NHRA had held a national event in the Pontiac circle. It is crazy. So if you want crazy, like you got to know the culture all the way through. What like crazy, northern end, kind of the upscale, going to buy new cars, kind of in the middle, kind of, and then Ford is the southern side of it. So. But up and down that, man, I'd like to just know how many T-shirts are sold on Woodward. I bet if somebody, I don't know, $20 million worth of T-shirts, that sounds probably low, but it's a lot.
The other weird thing about Dream Cruise is most of the consumers, I'll call them air quotes, don't move. They're static and the cars move. So like, it is one of the only events where you could activate by solely moving. Right? And just having like 3 or 4 cars in a row with your logo on them and just going up and down and making that loop, then you could probably reach almost 1 million people by looping. If you stay in one zone though, you're only going to get kind of the foot traffic in that little area. So like, we talked about this on an earlier podcast too, about using like local guides for things. And I think people are so afraid of that. But like, yeah, if you've never activated a Dream Cruise before, hit us up, hit up someone that lives here that knows the culture. Cause you're right. Depending on what type of brand you are, depending on what you're into, you got to be in totally different zones up and down Woodward. So it's, again, the coolest event. I'm hyped on it. I've missed it the last couple of years because I've been at Pebble and they're always on the same weekend. I'd always wanted to like alternate, like Dream Cruise one year, Pebble the next year. So this is our Dream Cruise year. So I'm hyped on that.
I think just for the marketers who are listening, right? Like we've seen trucks with big QR codes and brands. That, for me, that seems effective, although I don't know if I'm scanning QR codes while I'm sitting there waiting for the next series of burnouts to happen at the red light. And then there's a lot of airplanes with messages overhead. So it's that scale of a marketing effort. Let's move on. This isn't on our agenda, but I'm gonna launch a product today. This is gonna be the first time we've talked about a specific new product on the show. There's a V8 Gen 6 Bronco that has been put together by Badass Broncos here in Detroit. And it's real and it's running around and it makes 400 horsepower and it is amazing. So you're gonna see a lot more stuff from Badass Broncos. We have been focusing on marketing and sales, and in our notebooks, we have, at some point, we got to talk about product and product development. I know you've gone over a new product, mic drop, let's just say it, your product that you've launched. I've done it professionally now for 20 plus years in the auto industry. This is my latest, which is a V8 conversion. Everything works as if Ford had built this thing, and it's awesome. So coming soon, V8 Bronco from Badass Broncos. It's going to be awesome. You're going to drive it?
I would love to drive it. I also think you would look like less of a page shill if you weren't wearing a Badass Broncos shirt and hat right now. It probably would have come off as a little more authentic, but I am hyped on this thing. I am a Bronco owner. I have been for a while. I actually really like the EcoBoost. I think it's a great engine. I think the Raptor drives great, is great. But everyone loves V8, so I'm excited to see kind of how it works. What's nice about this that I've heard is that everything works exactly like how you would think it would be. So what a cool option for someone who is like, man, I really want a Bronco, but I love V8s and they won't do it. Obviously Jeep, with the 392, that thing's pretty rowdy. People love that. And then all the pickup trucks get V8s. So I think there's going to be a market there for sure.
And I think what we can do is, as we're launching this product, maybe I'll just bring in a quick snapshot of what we're doing and folks can just follow along as we learn things about launching a new product. It might be valuable to somebody out there. Right, Justin, let's move on to our normal segment, which is AI Watch. So artificial intelligence. I'm kind of catching up to where you are. You started this over a year ago in the content area, looking at photography and how does AI stretch things, and now you've moved on from there. I've actually been dabbling with some logos over the last couple. Well, we'll see. It's still working on it, but I want to talk about AI use for strategy and really tapping into the higher super intelligence that AI offers us as a community. So again, you go into openai.com, and what I had it do was, hey, I have a client and they're in this segment of vehicles, and I'm asking AI, hey, give me the top 3 competitors to this company that I represent. Give me the strengths and weaknesses of these other 3 companies, and then give me a roadmap to take this company 2 or 3 or 4x and how to steal market share from these other 3 companies. It was very effective and it works. And now I'm doing it for everybody that's associated with me just for fun. I just want to see how strong this thing is. It does make mistakes. I think you were very quick to caution everybody that has listened into us weekly. But man, what a way to get started on your way to developing a strategy, especially for the little companies that might not have an agency at their disposal or a strategy department. You can just do this while you're watching Jeopardy tonight, and you can play with AI, and it will put together a strategy to help you build your company and make you better and beat up on your competition. So where have you been with kind of the strategy side of AI, and where have you taken your company and other companies?
AI as a strategist, AI as a question and answer tool, AI as like a amazing way to just be like, I'm thinking about this, blah, 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 and it gives you questions that help you along your journey. It's better at that than it is at making funny memes. And because it did image generation so well, that's like what everyone thinks. They're like, oh, ChatGPT, I can make images, or Midjourney, I can make images, and then Google rolled out VO, and then like, oh, I can make videos. But honestly, machine learning is so much better at the research part, especially if you kind of know roughly what the answer would be. It's going to do what would take you and I 5 hours, 10 hours of thinking through, critical thinking, Googling, researching, compiling, it's going to do that in 30 seconds, 45 seconds. And if you have the paid version and use deep research, it'll do it for 15 minutes and it will return these crazy results. But we use it a lot for just hey, we're thinking about this thing, or hey, we're launching a V8 Bronco. Who else makes a V8 Bronco? What are the advantages of theirs versus ours? Look at their website. Tell me what it does well. Look at our website. Tell me what it does well. We did it for this podcast, right? We could talk about kind of what it found there. But as a research tool, it's unbelievable. I use it almost all the time to do things like that. When we patented Mic Drop, we talked to a patent attorney. They gave me the whole lay of the land. They're like, hey, we're going to have to go search and see if there are any other patents available, if there's anything like this in the marketplace. That's going to take, their lawyers, that's going to take us 1 trillion hours, and then we'll come back and blah, 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 blah. And they went through the whole thing. I listened to everything and got off the phone. I asked ChatGPT, hey, this is the product. Is there anything else in there? Deep research, it came back. It identified surprise, surprise, the same things they found. And for $10,000 less, right? So is it perfect? No. Is anyone perfect? No. So as a tool just to keep you sharp and keep you going, it's unbelievable. The other thing you can ask it to do, which is fun, is literally just look at this brand, go to their website, go to their social media, tell me their tone, tell me their posting frequency, give me a vibe check on their brand. And it'll be like, oh, this is a fun brand with this, or this is a serious brand with this, or this person looks like they're typing angrily from a pop-up phone or a flip phone. I mean, so it is really, really good at that. And people who are afraid of AI or don't want to use it for generation of things should definitely be using it on the strategic side.
Yeah, really, really good advice. I've got it also running a study. One of the companies I'm associated with is a private equity held manufacturer of performance parts, and they own 13 or 14 brands. So I gave it a huge assignment, which was go through all 14 brands, give me everything they do on social media, on every channel, tell me if they're current, relevant, staying up to date, give me all the metrics, and then compare it to the top 2 or 3 competitors for each brand. That's a huge ask. An agency would charge you $100,000 to do something like that. It did say it's going to take me 24 hours to put all this together, but it's grinding in the background while I'm working on other stuff, and then I'll have a whole scientific study. Now, is it going to be completely right? We want to caution folks that it does make mistakes. It's compelled to give you an answer, but damn, for a research tool like you say, it's a great fit for what we're doing.
Yeah, another example of this, we had a proposal we were working on for a client. There were several options in the proposal, as there normally are. There's like a option 1, option 2, option 2B, 3, whatever, on and on. And it was kind of complicated at the end. So we were in a meeting with the client, and they were like, this would be great if it was just on a chart that was easy to read. Like, I just want to go down a chart and read these things. And I'm like, okay, we could make that. That's a pretty simple thing to do, but it is going to take an hour or two in Excel to format this the way I want it. Straight into OpenAI, hey, make this a chart, summarize it, and give me a Excel back with all of it in it. Downloaded it. It was 99% there. Tweak some things, right? Like, that's not cheating. That's not doing anything bad. That's literally just being faster at the job and being able to get proposals out, or be able to get, a build sheet out to someone, or if a magazine asks you for something, and you could just have it format things. Like, as just a miniature, super confident intern, OpenAI, ChatGPT, whatever you want to call it, is just crushing it right now.
I love it. I want to get back on this AI avatar. I'm just addicted to watching what's taking place in the space. And briefly, we broke this down last week, but this is an AI-generated person, image, caricature, and they're selling stuff online. I'm seeing a bunch of stuff about a Chinese group. They manufactured the folks that were on screen. They did $7 million in sales in one day. We left the podcast last week, and I think we gave a few examples for folks that how would this be effective, right? Multiple segments, that reaches a customer. Let's play out the Cletus scenario. What if Cletus licenses his likeness to Summit Racing to sell stuff online, and you get Cletus on your favorite social channel, and it's his likeness, and it's him pulling up his favorite videos, it's him talking about the parts that they used, and there's a buy now button right on the screen. You and I got excited about this. I thought about it all week long. I'm ready to help anybody that listens to this to go get it done. This is a multi-billion-dollar piece of business.
It sounds so stupid when you say it. It sounds like an impossibility of the future. It sounds like you're explaining NFTs to someone or something. But then I'm like, wait, the Jolly Green Giant, the Charmin Bear, right? The yellow M&M, like, avatars have been spokespeople for brands forever, and none of us think it's weird, right? So, like, the Rice Krispie treat, there's all these things. So it's just that, but it's like, it's an extension of a person now, which is super interesting. And I don't think you really ever see that other than maybe Hollywood, where there's an actor and then, there's a spin-off where they're a comic book or something like that. But the fact that you can make a little mini avatar with all the personality of the thing, and it can work 24/7, and people are like, oh, I know this, I like this person from YouTube. I have to research this camshaft anyway. It might as well be more fun if it was this person. I think it's super cool. Again, I don't know what the Chinese are up to specifically, where they're just selling trillions of dollars worth of stuff in these whatnot things. Someone's going to figure that out though here, but I'm going to stand by my statement from last time. First, a human has to do this on whatnot, and then they can make a avatar of themselves. But the YouTubers, they're already there, right? People already know them. They already know their personality. They're already in love with them. So yeah, someone should AI themselves and start spinning that off, because it's going to work.
Well, you and I are both fans of the Bigfoot car guy reels on Instagram, and I'm going to tell you right now, if Bigfoot started shilling camshafts, you would be buying them from Bigfoot. I know you would.
100%. 100% I would. I love all of those things. If Selena 52 started selling energy drinks or something like that, I would drink them just for the meme. You know what I mean? And it's just like, you love the online personality of it. Weber Valley, same thing. Like, you love the online personality. Then they start making a thing. I mean, Mr. Beast has kind of, in a way, done this with Feastables, right? Like, he's a YouTuber, then he comes out with a food brand, and those kids are buying his chocolate because they relate to him on YouTube. So, like, that works. We haven't seen it in the auto space, but it's definitely coming. You know, our boy Garrett, American Muscle HD, he's done a lot with Dodge, where he was a little virtual character talking about the new Dodge. So Dodge, AI Garrett, put him on your website, have him sell cars to people. That's my pitch for today.
I like that. I like that. And Garrett's done a good job with himself, right? He was behind the camera for years when you discovered him. And now you see him in front of the camera, and he's, you know, very confident, and he's talking about vehicles, and his opinion really matters. So Garrett's coming on here. We'll talk to this guy.
And this is why building your personal brand is so important, right? Because in the future, personal brand is going to be more and more relevant. Even as AIs come online and avatars come online, like, people are going to want to know, like, oh, that's Dr. Jamie Meyer, and that's Dr. Jamie Meyer's authentic little avatar. I understand what those two things are. Because we are coming up quickly to this dead internet theory where it might just all be bots talking to bots kind of a thing. But for right now, having a personality is so much more important than being behind the scenes.
Really good. All right, let's dive into the meat of this podcast, which is, this is going to be me setting you up. You're going to look amazing today, by the way. Are you ready to stand out?
I didn't pre-read any of these things, and I feel like they're going to be complex. So hopefully I can make this work.
All right. Well, you are a social media expert, and we have promised to help people, and we want to give you listeners tips on how to make your social media better. That's the goal of this podcast, and we'll start here. We're going to go deeper into some of these in future ones, but we wanted to get kind of the base level for where you and I operate social channels. How's that? My first one is I think we got to cover just what I would call storytelling fundamentals, and for us, that means you've got to know the customer, and you've got to know your product, and you got to know how your product is going to find that customer and how you're going to help find them. So customer is very centric. I think we can reference Donald Miller here, but do you want to walk through the customer path and how it leads into social? I've got a lot of other topics on this, but the basics, when you think about framing up a brand and how it applies to social channels, it might be a good start.
Yeah, so for us, right, it always starts, know your product, know your customer, connect the two together. When you're talking about a customer on social media, it's so important to understand who they are exactly, very intently, and then how they're expecting to receive content from you, because their feed isn't decided by them. Their feed is decided by the algorithm, and the algorithm knows what they like, but it's only going to show them things that they already are predisposed to like. So if your customer only interacts with reels that are fast-paced, Southern talking, no prep drag radial stuff, and you're talking in slow motion, setback, big words, boring, you're never going to even reach them. So like the first step, and this is where AI can help you, is really drumming down into like, who is my core customer? One of the best things that I've ever heard about, even a podcast like this, is you should never say like, what's up guys? You're not talking to an audience of people. You're talking to one person. That person is at their house, probably going to the bathroom or sitting on the couch. You're interacting with them one-to-one. And if you can't talk to them in a way that is authentic to them, they're just going to move on immediately. And the only way to be authentic, one, you have to be authentic personally, but two, you need to know who they are and what they're up to. So like knowing the customer is essential. And then knowing that you are not the hero of the customer's life or journey, right? So let's get into story brand here. I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to let you do the story brand setup, if you remember all of it.
Yeah, I think for me the basics are your customer is the hero in the story, and the story has been played out over thousands of years. And Donald Miller building a story brand, right? If you read some of his stuff, I first became aware of this at a Tony Robbins seminar. But that hero is on a mission. It's usually to have a better life for themselves. It's usually to become more famous at the racetrack. It's usually to have more fun, build a family, things like that. Where you come in as a product is you are the guide that's going to help that hero down the path to have a better life. So there's several versions of how that takes place as a marketer, but usually it goes like, my Bronco is really awesome. I wish it had more horsepower. I'm going to come in as Badass Broncos and I'm going to market to you and tell you about our new V8 swap conversion kit for your Gen 6 Bronco. You're going to have a lot more fun. You're going to be out in the desert. You're going to attract more ladies, like, whatever that hero wants after that path. So as a marketer, and where your social channels always have to go for me, and probably our relationship professionally is best been defined as I'm often the client, as you and I have overlapped. I've got a crazy idea about a product. I've got a crazy launch on a new product that's coming up. You have come in and helped develop that strategy with me and put it out on the channels and do the hard work of building the great content that touches that hero in our story, that makes them stop flipping through their Instagram and gives you a look on YouTube, whatever the story is. So tell me how to connect with the hero in the story. Tell me what channels are the best. And I will say 5 years ago, it was Facebook, it was YouTube, Instagram was kind of new, TikTok was completely irrelevant. Twitter we didn't even talk about for the auto industry. Now it has completely changed, right? And I think about a lot of different platforms. So there's a lot there, but tell me how to identify the hero in our story and how to reach them.
I think there is no best channel. Everyone always asks, like, what's the best channel to be on? It's like whatever one your customer's on, wherever they're hanging out, right? Like TikTok has definitely the best discovery algorithm. If you've ever been on TikTok or used it, I mean, within 10 minutes, it has you sorted. It knows how to get to your dopamine receptors. It's going to give you great content. So like its algorithm is the best for delivering cool content to you. Now, if your audience is on there, then you need to be on there getting them that content. If your audience is not on TikTok, it doesn't matter how good their algorithm is, you're never going to reach them. So like that's the point of knowing the customer. If your customer is only on Facebook and they're only on Facebook to rant about things, then you got to figure out, how am I going to reach this person? They're probably not going to look at an ad from you, but they're probably in groups. So like, how do I find them in this group? And how do I become a part of this group that's authentic? And then how do I become an expert in this group? And then, right, and then I can talk to them. Instagram, Reels, really the driver of Instagram at this point. If your customer is someone who watches a lot of Reels, then that's a great place to be. X doesn't have a good discovery mechanism. So the only way to get big on X is to show up in conversations. And the only types of conversations that are happening on X are normally pop related, like, it's news or it's politics or it's controversy. It's something that's going on that people are talking about. So like, for instance, there's not an ongoing conversation around the lack of a V8 in a 5th gen Bronco on Twitter. So it's really hard to like get in the conversation there. But there's a million people in Facebook groups for Broncos. So like, you got to be able to reach them there. And you don't want to sell them something the first time you talk to them, right? What's the worst thing you can do when you meet someone at a party? It's like immediately try to sell them something, right? So like, you got to get in that conversation early. People have to trust you. People have to know what you're about. And then you can start showing them like, oh, hey, if you're on your journey to building the coolest Bronco, here's a cool option. We've done all this work. You can have it and you're going to be a badass, that type of journey. The last thing I'll say on this is the easiest way to understand story brand is to just give examples of when people do it wrong, which is the typical, like, working late in the shop today, big things coming. How does that help me? I'm at home, I'm looking for cool Bronco stuff. You're doing something secretive in a shop that you can't tell me about? This is not helpful to me. So like, what is much more helpful is like, you know, for people looking for XYZ, man, I can't wait to show you this thing tomorrow. It's like, oh, I don't even need to know what it is, but those are the things I'm into. That would be super cool. So yeah, know your customer, know where they are, and then give up on the best channel. Just go to the channels where they are.
Yeah, I would add to that is experimentation is very important, because you and I were, hard to believe, we were wrong on a couple of the channels early on. TikTok is probably the one that surprised us, but you know, try stuff is my best advice.
I'll give you 2 TikTok examples. One was in automotive. Everyone told us, no, there's no car stuff on TikTok. And then we grew a TikTok channel very rapidly and they loved it. There was a lot of car stuff on TikTok. 2 is off-grid. So Recoil has a publication called Off-Grid Magazine. It's for preppers or people who want to be prepared for whatever the world is going to throw at them. There are no preppers on TikTok, right? There's no preppers on TikTok. We launched the TikTok channel for Off-Grid. PD was the editor, is the editor over there. He was putting up content. PD knows almost nothing about TikTok. He just knows, okay, they said to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to make short little things. I'm going to put them on here. Hopefully, maybe there's an off-grid audience. Maybe there's some preppers on TikTok. 50,000 subscribers in like 6 weeks. Their top video, 9 million views. Way more views than they've ever received anywhere else, right? So I would never think there would be preppers on TikTok, and I would never think, I mean, now it's obvious that there are car people on TikTok, but at some point there wasn't. So yeah, to your point, do test, because your theory might not be correct, and if everyone else already assumes that it's the wrong place to be, there might be a very hungry audience there, right?
Good. I wanna dive into the algorithm, right? This mystical beast that affects everybody's lives, and there's a couple things for me on this topic, which is before 2020, the way people played on the internet was just put out a ton of content, and the saying was, "Content is king." And I know you remember this. You and I came along and we were like, no, actually good content is king. And that has held up for the last 6-7 years for us very well. You've got to do relevant stuff. Don't waste people's time or you'll never get attention. And now I think you're going to tell me the algorithm has changed even stronger, where it's not who's in your group of companies you followed, but the algorithm knows who you are and what you like, and it'll serve up that good content from other sources that you didn't even know exist. So for a master content creator like you, that gives you a huge advantage. You can go get big valuable engagement for your clients. So talk about the algorithm, talk about content, and teach people how to be a star on social media.
Okay, algo rant incoming. Here we go. I think when you say the word the algorithm, everyone thinks it is one algorithm that is pushing content, right? In my head, early on, it was like I put content up, the algorithm looks at it and is like, okay, Justin has posted something, a brand has posted something, there are people online and I'm going to push this content to them. And then we were like, oh wait, it's not pushing it to everyone, it's only pushing it to like 5% or 1% or 10% of our followers. Like, that's not fair. The algorithm's being mean to me. I don't know why Facebook doesn't open up the algorithm. And then Facebook and Meta and those guys were like, hey, it's because there's a trillion things we can show someone when they log on, and we're going to show them the most timely stuff, the most relevant stuff, and the stuff they're going to interact with. Over time, it's gotten way better. It's way faster now, and it can make, more intelligent decisions. But the way I think about it now is that there isn't one algorithm pushing your stuff. There's one algorithm per user pulling content to the user. So like when Justin gets on Instagram Reels, Justin's algorithm is like, all right, dude, this guy's ready. He's locked in. We got to get him some dopamine right off the bat. What's like the number one thing he's going to love to see? Let me get that. Okay, he liked it. Okay, let me get him some more of that. Oh wait, now he's scrolling faster. Okay, let me switch it up. Let me get him something else for a little while, right? That thing, they call it a slot machine for a reason. Like, it is trying to keep you engaged for as long as humanly possible. So your algorithm's job is to keep you on Instagram for as long as it can so that Instagram can serve you as many ads as possible. So your algorithm's just like a little dude running around like, oh, Justin loves monster trucks, Justin loves drag racing, Justin loves, whatever. And you can see this, like, some days your algo will just be like cool music or live performances or something, and then other days it'll just be cars. It's because that's what you're interacting with at the time. So, okay, so everyone that logs onto the internet has a miniature algorithm that's working for them. Now, how does that change how a content creator should make content? Well, you have to make content that the algorithm can sort and be like, okay, the person who just logged on, Justin, he wants to see monster trucks. I'm going to look at the world and what kind of monster truck content is out there. This is why some people, when they make content that is like so new, it's like, how would it know to give this to you, right? So you have to be on brand. This is why trending music works. This is why following trends work, because it's like, oh, everyone's loving this Coldplay thing. They keep sending the Coldplay thing. Are there more Coldplay things out there, right? I think the best in the business, why they're putting out so much content now, is just to get as many shots at the algorithm as possible. Like Gary Vee's like, oh, I put up 1,000 things a day. It's like, yeah, because that's 1,000 videos that the algorithm can be like, oh wait, oh no, they're more into this, they're more into that. So I think if you flip or at least invert the way you're thinking about the algorithm, it's super helpful. And then it's like, if your content does bad, instead of being like, the algorithm sucks, it's the algorithm's fault, it's like, okay, no one is interested in whatever I'm saying for some reason. Now, there are other mechanics to the algo that you have to be aware of. Instagram, for example, does send reels to a small percent of your audience immediately. So you upload a reel, you have 100 followers, it's going to send it to 10 of them. If 10 of them don't watch the first 3 seconds, it's like, no one wants to see this. Oh, by the way, in the time it took me to send this to 10 people, there's been 100 trillion hours worth of footage put on this platform. So I'm just going to move on and find something else, right? So you do have to engage rapidly. And by rapidly, it's really the first 0.7 seconds is like, you got to hook them. Because just imagine scrolling. Well, no. Oh, right? It sees that thumb stop for a second. And it's like, oh, this is a good one. Okay. Everyone else that's logged on, hey, you might like this, right? So there are mechanics to how it does that. There was also like, it used to be likes was a marker for how good things were. And then it was like, oh, anyone can do likes. There's like 1 trillion bots out there. We'll do comments. And then people were like, oh, if I just spell something wrong or rage bait people, then they'll comment like, this fucking sucks. And then that generates more comments. And it was like, okay, so now we can't do that. Then it was shares. Like, hey, if I see a reel and I share it with you, that's one of those personal interactions we can have on this platform. So this must be a good reel. Okay, I can now see the signal here and I can send more of these types of things to someone. So there's a lot of that going on, but I think at the base level, it's just flipping that. The algorithm pushing to the algorithm pulling has really helped me like identify why content isn't working and then what you can do to change your content to get in people's feeds. That's a long answer.
That's good. I think we're always experimenting. You've got multiple clients on multiple platforms. Let's just promise as we see things change, we'll update the folks that are watching this. And I think that's the best way. But again, good content's always going to win throughout this thing.
Yeah, one little note on a change. So Instagram rolled out a new algo update like 2 weeks ago. Prior to that, they were sending content to non-followers pretty heavily. So I would post a reel, they would send them to people who don't follow me, and those people would see if they interact with it. If they did, that's like, oh, that's a good sign. Then it would start sharing it to my network and out. Because AI slop is such a problem on Instagram, where people are just posting like, you've seen them, these just like ridiculous reels that don't make any sense. They're AI generated, or they're half the screen is like a slot machine and the top is a meme from Theo Vaughn or whatever. Like, because that is getting worse and worse, the algo update was like, okay, we can't send it to unknown people because we don't have a control group. So now they've swapped back, and now they're like, okay, we're going to share it with people that are friends with this person because that's harder to fake. And if they like it, then we're going to go out from there. So immediately people saw this huge reduction in Instagram reel views. It was like, man, I used to get 20,000. Now I'm only seeing like 8,000. And then, eventually that machine learning learned better and started going out from there. But like, Instagram doesn't always tell us when they do that, and they definitely don't tell you what's really in there, right? People have to go research this stuff and do it. So yeah, we will stay up to date on that, but a lot of it is kind of black boxy too. So we'll try our best.
Yeah. That might be them experimenting with it too. Man, good. I think this is maybe the most critical thing we can help people with today, which is how do you measure success on the different social media channels? The question really comes down to followers versus value. My pet peeve is I never want to see a deck on social media with percentage of increases and anything. Percentage and increase, it doesn't mean anything. I saw a great reel this morning, which was, look, you can have 10,000 followers and have a $10 million annual business. You can have 10 million followers and make nothing. So that quality is something that you and I have always strived for, the different brands that we've represented and worked for. So, Justin, how do I measure success on social media today?
Well, followers are a vanity metric when you don't have a lot of them. And then when you do have a lot of them, they're very important again. So it is one of those, that's the problem with all social media metrics and all these agencies that report out. You can make it say whatever you want, right? So if you have 2 followers and you get 2 likes, you have a 100% engagement rate, but you're only reaching 2 people. If you have 20 million followers and you get 5 million likes, you have a 5% engagement rate, but you're reaching a lot of people. So like, again, to the percentage point swings of these things, it's almost impossible to tell what's going on. The automotive advantage in the last 30 days is up 180 trillion%. We went from 0 views to like 750 views, right? So like, what does that even mean? But don't get caught up in the numbers, because we talk about this a lot. I think we're like almost at 750 views on YouTube for the first 3 episodes. Imagine how many 750 people is, right? Like if we were in a room with 750 people listening to us talk about this stuff, that would be like a sellout. That would be like the highlight of our life, right? And it's so easy to be like, oh, this only got 750 views over 3 videos. That's pathetic. It's like, no, that's a lot of people. So you should look at watch time too. I'll brag on us for a little. Our average watch time is like 13 minutes, which is pretty long considering most people don't stick around that long on a podcast. So like 750 views, 13-minute watch time, very engaged audience, I would say. It does mean we should front load the cool stuff because they're falling off towards the end. But like, those are great numbers. And I think people are like, oh, I wish I had more followers. I wish I had more of this. I wish I had more of that. Like, what are you even going to do with that? Maximize the ones that you have, deliver as much value as possible, and then consider what your end goal is. One of our clients is a personal training facility. They can only personal train people within 20-minute drive of their facility. Would it be cool to have 1 million followers? Yeah, it's good social proof when someone within that radius looks them up and like, oh my God, these guys have 1 million followers. Of course I'm going to train there. But at the end of the day, can 1 million of those people train with them? No. Is it good for brand building? Maybe, if they're engaged. So like, you got to pick your core, what is important to my business, what's actually going to move the needle, what's actually going to sell things, and then kind of get your metrics from there. Otherwise, you can just make them, you can make any metric report seem sick if you wanted to.
Really good. I want to bring this down to, the shop person that as their 4th job, it's, hey, go run the social media channels, or the owners that are doing it. And one hot tip for the owners, please don't run your business social media accounts as if they're your personal accounts. I think when you start out, you can do it, but if you want to grow, you got to be really careful because you may do something political, you may say something wrong somewhere else as your company, and it can damage you. So that's one quick tip. But Justin, for the person who wants to get in the automotive industry, for the person that's running the social media as their fourth job, right? They're a welder, but they've been asked to do content for the social channels for the company that they're working at. Give them some tips, just day to day. What can you do to make social media better for your company? And really, this is where you can make millions for your company on your social channels.
Think about the end user. Think about the person watching whatever content you're about to make and how you can provide value to them. I think everyone wants to talk about themselves. That's just a natural part of being a human. And it's so easy to make content that's like, look what I did today, or, oh man, I can't believe, right? If you, before you pick up the camera, if you can just think, what can I say right now that's going to help someone who loves 5th gen Broncos love them more? What can I do to do that? If that's all you do, you're going to succeed. Now, over time, you can start to layer in a hook and layer in all these things. But like, to start out, if you're just delivering value to people, that's the goal, right? And then grow from there. That would be my singular tip for social media growth.
Give me the cadence. Do I need to have 50 pieces of content out daily on all of my social media channels?
No, and this is a thing about Gary Vee that I don't love. I don't love the whole, you need 80,000 editors working overnight to get 1 trillion reels up. That is true for like 0.1% of the content creators in the world. If you, much like a conversation, if you don't have anything to say that's going to provide value, probably don't say it, right? Like, I remember way back in the day, shout out to James, you know, James was on a phone call and he hung up and I said, James, just say 50% less. Just, you don't have to say so many words, right? And like, you're gonna be judged by every piece of content you put up. So if a lot of them are just garbage filler because you're like, oh, I need to make 1 post a day, people are gonna tune out like, oh, this guy never has anything interesting to say. He's always blabbing on about himself. I don't really care anymore. But if you only post when you have interesting things on some sort of cadence that's regular, 1 post every other day, 3 posts a week, that type of thing, then you're getting like enough interaction to keep it moving. And more importantly, you're getting enough reps, enough shots on goal to see like, oh, one of these things works. We have a client of ours, again, the personal training facility. Each one of the trainers has their own personal social media. So shout out to Nate here. Nate is a golf guy, and he's just been working on growing his golf and personal training page personally. So early on, it was like, man, what can I do to grow this thing? And he got into like, you know, doing one thing per follower, that type of a thing. Like, you know, trying to shoot a golf ball from here to here, and I'm going to go back 1 inch for every new follower I get, that type of thing. And that content does really well. He grew his TikTok really fast. He grew his Instagram fast. He's still getting people watching the early reels that are growing. So like, you can find a little niche like that. I see speed shops do things like day 7 of Infinity, giving you tips on how to make your dirt car better. And like, then I'm like, oh, well, what's day 8? What's day 9? So like, repeatable content is good. But yeah, I think just provide value as often as you are valuable.
All right. When we asked AI about how to make this a better podcast, it suggested you need a strong close. So would you do the honors, Justin?
That's the podcast? Is that the, how do we?
Maybe ask for a like and a follow.
Oh, I thought, yeah, okay, yeah. It would be super cool if you like this content, if you subscribe. I think we have like 50 subscribers on YouTube, which is absolutely insane for the 3rd episode. So thank you, everyone who subscribed. But yeah, if you can share this thing, that would be super cool. If you know someone in your network that would like this type of content, that would be awesome. We've seen a surprising outpouring of LinkedIn posts of people being like, hey, these guys are doing something pretty cool. That's like the coolest feedback we could get. So thank you for everybody who's done that. But yeah, even if you share it, that'd be awesome. If you like it, if you comment on it, we do need the algo to help us as well. So that would be great. Yeah, is it?
Well, strong.
That's a strong close.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we going to talk about this thing or no? We'll do that next time.
Next time.
Okay. Get us out of here then.
Oh, that's it. Thanks for joining us. That's the pod.